Alright, let's talk about the history of Epiphany. But before we do, let's talk about 3 other things that people sometimes claim Christmas came from. Romans claim that the sun god, Sol Invictus, was born on December 25th, but please know there's no record of celebrations of this day. People will tell you that Christmas corresponds to winter solstice, but winter solstice never falls on December 25th. Third is the feast of Saturnalius, and this also never fell on December 25th, and it didn't have any correlation with the original churches celebrating the birth of Christ on that day. So the celebration of the birth of Christ is something that the church started doing very early on. The first person to write about it is Clement of Alexandria. In his book, The Stromatis, he talks about how Christians were celebrating the birth of Christ, and then he notes that it's kind of foolish to think that we know exactly what day which Jesus was born. But he did recognize that we see value in the incarnation event, and his book was published around AD 175. The Eastern Church developed Epiphany to celebrate the birth of Christ, the visit from the Magi, the childhood of Jesus, and his baptism. They set the date for January 6th, and the primary point of emphasis was the baptism of Jesus. That's important because it signifies the beginning of Jesus' public ministry. Many Orthodox churches consider the baptism of Christ to be one of the first steps towards the crucifixion. That's one of the reasons why they see it as such an important event. AD 361, Ammianus Marcellinus makes mention of the first liturgical practice of celebrating the birth of Christ. The Western Church chose to celebrate the birth of Christ on December 25th, and the first reference to this we find on a calendar dated to 331 AD. So sometime between 200 AD and 330 AD, celebrating the birth of Christ became an accepted practice. The Western Church chose to celebrate on December 25th, the Eastern Church on January 6th. There's 12 days between those two events. And the link between these two events is why we talk about the 12 days of Christmas. Christmas is a thoroughly Christian holiday. Not everything we do today reflects that, but as it was designed and initially practiced, that's what it was. So Epiphany is a Christian holiday, not a pagan holiday. Celebrating Christmas on December 25th is a Christian holiday, not a pagan celebration. That being said, we don't know exactly when Christ was actually born, and we can't say for sure that it was December 25th, but it's a great day to mark the incarnation event and to be reminded of the incarnation event each year as Christians. The incarnation being the first step towards the salvation of humanity. And this year, as you celebrate the Christmas story, don't just think of the birth of Christ, also think of everything leading up to his baptism and the beginning of his public ministry, which put him on the road towards the crucifixion.